meeting. So please join us to welcome Professor Scott.
COVID protocols, although I'm vaccinated, so I'm not worried. So yes, in the old days when I first became the professor for the Toastmasters, a long time ago, maybe when you were all still in elementary school, we used to have a grammarian, and so I was always asked to be the grammarian to correct everybody's grammar mistakes, and we don't have that anymore, but I still sometimes correct grammar mistakes. So I was glad to see the evaluator, especially Angel, was talking about some pronunciation and usage things too, and Adrian also. So our two evaluators did a good job of talking about both the good things and the bad things that happened in the speeches that were presented, because as we all know, we can always improve, right? Even if we are good and confident public speakers already, we can always improve. And so I thought both Adrian and Angel did a good job of giving advice for ways to improve and about some good things that happened and bad things that happened. I didn't notice any grammar problems with them, so they were good advisors. As far as the timer, the vote counter, and our, what are we calling you now? The chair. So I get to evaluate them too, because otherwise nobody else does. I thought our timer, Gary, did a good job for, maybe the first time he's done this job, and there's a chart. I think everybody uses the same chart now. Used to be there wasn't a chart in when there were yellow cards and green cards and stuff like that. So I think the bell is more efficient, and his explanation was clear, so he gave good examples about that. And Kelsey maybe was a little nervous talking about the voting. So just be calm and confident. I know it's easy to say, but nobody knows what you're supposed to say, so you can say anything you want, right? It's not like you have to memorize stuff. And one thing for you, Jasper, pronunciation for insomnia. You had a little bit of problems pronouncing that word. For Josh, the one thing I would say is it was good that you introduced yourself and explained how you went from chemistry into computer science and what the connection between those were. But then you needed to make a connection from your introduction into the main topic of your speech a little more smooth, because you kind of just really jumped from one to the other. And there were some pronunciation things I can tell you about if you want to know them later. And Eric, the genre, that was one I was going to say, and Angel already mentioned it. So the word, it's a French word. And I don't know, is anybody here French? Nobody's French, so I can say whatever I want about the French. The French always talk funny. So it's always hard to talk French. My aunt and cousins are French, so I always make fun of them. So the word is genre. It's really a French word, and that's why it's so hard. That's why it's hard to say. So, and then the other thing is, you talked about New Orleans being in South America, but South America is a continent that has countries like Colombia and Venezuela and Argentina and Brazil. And New Orleans is not in South America. It is in the United States. It's in the southern part of the United States, so we might say in the southern U.S., right, or in the South, the U.S. South, something like that. But if you say South America, then you're talking about a different place. So there's North America and South America, but then there's the United States, and everybody here calls the United States America, and that's where things get confusing. So if you want to be clear, then just say the United States, which is longer. And I thought all our table topic speakers did a great job, and that Heidi did a good job with having some interesting but thought-provoking questions, right? They weren't easy to answer, but gave some people some things to talk about. So overall, I thought everybody did a good job, but I didn't tell anybody about this. Where's my technology guy? I have a PowerPoint, because I'm taking more than my time. I asked if they were going to ring a bell and make me stop, and they said no. So can you go to the screen? I have a PowerPoint there. You don't know because you weren't here when we snuck it on. Okay. All right, so is this one? To the next one? The middle. Okay. Okay. Technology hates me, so this probably won't work. But when this club was the Toastmasters, if you've been in the club for a while, you might have seen this PowerPoint before, because I always give it on the first demo meeting, because I just think it's worth knowing. So now the club is not Toastmasters anymore, and we're focused more on social opportunities for speaking English rather than necessarily preparing ourselves for professional use of English, you know, once you graduate and go out in the business world. But these are things worth knowing and thinking about as you progress through your years in college or graduate school, or get ready to go to internships. You're going to spend a lot of your life standing in front of meetings and presenting PowerPoints and introducing people and things like that. So this is a good place to get some practice. So just some things about introductions. Whew. So informal introduction might be, Beth is a cute girl with a nice smile.
Yes! Yeah! I know!
Yeah, exactly. And it's right, it's true, right? Nothing wrong with saying that. Or you say, David is a handsome boy who's always laughing. Yeah. All right, good. Or Kira has a great personality. Right?
Yeah.
Those are all nice things that you might want to say about people, and that's fine in an informal social situation, like a club activity. But if you're in a more formal situation, those are not the kind of things you want to say when you're introducing someone. So be careful. In the US, to call anyone over the age of 18 a girl or a boy might be insulting. Right? We say men and women. If you're 18, you're an adult, you're a man, you're a woman. Right? So you're not a girl or a boy anymore. So just be aware of that. To focus on physical appearance can be a problem, especially when talking about women in a professional setting. So if you're giving a professional introduction, you don't necessarily want to talk about how good looking the person is, whether it's a man or a woman. But it's especially a problem about focusing on women's physical appearance. And sorry, Kira, but in particular, to say a woman has a great personality can be a way of saying she's ugly in some context. So if your friend says, oh, what do you think of my new girlfriend? And you say, well, she has a great personality. You're saying that you don't think she's very attractive. So be careful of that one in particular. That one's an idiom that you wouldn't necessarily know, because it seems like a nice thing to say, but not always. So in a professional situation, focus on abilities and accomplishments. So when you're introducing a colleague or a teammate or someone in a professional setting, talk about what they can do, what they've achieved, what makes them an important person worth listening to. Be sincere. Don't say something that you don't really believe about that person. Say something that's really true about them, even if it's just that they have a nice personality. So try to avoid private or emotional information. You don't need to tell them about how they're breaking up with their girlfriend right now, so they might be a little distracted, something like that. And some useful vocabulary. So if you want to talk about somebody as a good worker, you can use words like efficient, competent, effective. If you want to talk about someone who's trustworthy, you can say reliable, dependable. If you're talking about someone who has a strong personality, you can say energetic, dynamic, enthusiastic. If you want to say someone is interesting, because interesting is actually a boring word, right? Oh, interesting. Yeah, when people say, yes, your report was interesting, what they're really saying is, your report was boring. So engaging or stimulating is a better word in that context. And then if you want to say someone is high quality, then you can talk about them being excellent or outstanding or superb. I think that's all. That's all I have. So I took more than my time. Nobody rang a bell. And now I believe that Beth is the next person who's going to talk. So thank you, everyone. Oh, it's Jasper? Everybody tells me something different.